Salutare, bine te-am găsit pe Startup.ro. Suntem după Romania Startup Summit de aici de la Timișoara, când a fost lansat noul fond regional de investiții, West Ventures. Și vom trece în engleză pentru că am alături de mine pe Cristobal Alonso, General Partner West Ventures. Cristobal, nice to have you here.
Thank you.
So let's gonna start just by asking you, what are you doing in Romania and at West Ventures?
Well, I think about 3 years ago, they tell the story with Razvan. I think we identify East Balkans, West Balkans, all the regional places with a lot of talent, completely not developed, but we always thought something is going to happen, right? And about 3 years ago, Razvan and I said, hey, Romania is one of the top 2 priorities, but we need to go there. We need to start developing relationships. And at some point, the right opportunity will arrive, right? And about 2 years, 18 months ago, the tenders were shaping, etc. But I think we clearly said, hey, we want to invest in Romania. We want to be in Romania. But for that, we need to be here, right? So that's what I sent. Let's say him. He moved back. He was living at that time in Tallinn. He moved to Cluj. Now he has relocated to Timișoara. And we also said we need to find a team. So we actually spent about 12 months finding who will be the right people in the consortium. And I was always kind of the international guy with a big track record that could serve as an interesting kind of hook for the regional government or for the national government. Said, hey, we want to bring that expertise into the country. Right?
You had a presentation about the fund here on stage, and few things caught my attention. First, it's a regional fund.
Yeah.
And it's the first regional fund in Romania, but you said that you don't care, in maybe different words, that it's regional, because you don't need to be regional, you need to be global, you need to be European. So why is it important that is regional and why it is not?
Well, I think being regional imposes limitations. Right? At the end of the day, the pool of opportunity is smaller. However, we believe that 2 things. A, there is a lot of talent regionally and even probably in Serbia as a second target, because the fund has enough size to be very attractive to people to do it. Secondly, it has the resources to coach founders way before we invest. Right? So if you tell me you need to make 70 investments, that's it, find me 70 investments in 3 years, I will tell you, I don't think I can find you 70 quality investments. You tell me, hey, you have the programs to create probably 30, 40 companies, and the market we create on its own another 30 good companies, then I think, yes, that is going to be an opportunity. And then not to forget that we have about 15 to 17 large follow-on tickets, right? So I think the key at the end of the day, the economics of the fund is we need to find the 15 that really we put most of the money in at the end, because those are probably going to give you 80-90% of the returns. But everything else is going to be people who is going to do it again and do it again and do it again. Right?
And the second thing I heard when you were on stage was that pyramid you mentioned.
Yeah.
You need to have smaller investments for the smallest companies to have those unicorns and bigger company. How much is it a games number?
It's all a games number.
Yeah.
It's all a games number. At the end of the day, in all the previous funds that I have managed, our follow-on rate was between 45% and 50%. So 50% of our companies will receive money from us or from somebody else. If you do that 3 times in a row, you return the money. Right? So that's how the mathematics, because usually every round will be 3 times bigger valuation, but 50% will be owned. Right? So that's what I said. If we have to do 70 investments, you have to think that probably around 15 companies will receive the follow-on, another 10 will know that we'll get it from the abroad, and out of that 25 pool, half needs to have some kind of liquidity event, right? Which is doable. And then while the other thing is that even if this fund will give, let's say, 2x, right? Which, a great fund gives you 3x plus. A bad fund, 1.5 below, right? Especially 1x. A 2x fund, which is okay, especially because it has some regional limitations at the beginning, because you have the opportunity that the government, once they take the money they have invested, the rest is for the private investors. That leverage will make the potentially with a 2x, a private investor can make 3 or 4x which becomes a very attractive proposition. And again, what we want is them to be attractive and then do it again, right? Take the money, reinvest it in the ecosystem, the flywheel model, which will probably take a couple of funds plus other people in the ecosystem. So that's what we think. It's going to be changing a lot, but I think the real life, oh my God, what's going on in Timisoara, is probably 5 to 6 years in terms of financial returns, right? But in terms of activity, it has started already, and now we just, I think, go up and up.
And right now, because you talked about also private investors and so on. Private investors, are you looking also for new private investors to come and raise basically the bar of the existing fund of these ventures?
So there is basically a minimum amount that is needed, which is more or less every investment has to be 70-something% public, 20-something% private, more or less, as a balance. I would say most of the conversations the money is there, but of course the idea will be if we can go from 16.6 million to 20, fantastic, right? And again, it's not just because we want more money to invest, it's because you want more private investors. So the next fund, if the government says invest instead of 17, I put 10, so the problem because my private investors are happy and I put it. So that is the one part I think we are educating. So I think we educate way more the private investors because they learn how you do it, they start getting comfortable, they see the first things happening, etc. And somebody say, oh, they don't do it because out of pity. No, but it's obviously they do it out of impact also because they probably say, I prefer a 2x in Timisoara than a 3x in Germany, likely. And then the question is, can we over time give them the same as Germany or even more? But it needs to come with certain level of incentives.
Also, how important is, in your opinion, the help of European funds, government schemes and so on, to support the emerging startup ecosystems right now in Europe?
I think in Europe, you cannot do it any other way because, if you look at the very large funds in the US, to put an example, a lot of the money is coming from private, pension funds, right? Because they have an obligation to put in. If that money is not available, that pension fund at the end is public money, right? The way the public money is being channeled here is still being pension funds is through EIFs, through EU, etc. The private investors put way less money in venture capital, in private equity as an asset class, right? So as long as we don't get way more private money in, I think it is fundamental to keep having those European LPs come in. And however, we should be able to give enough returns that at some point should be complementing the private, not leading the private. Right now, they are still leading the funds, right? But at some point, it should be complementing the funds, right?
Thank you, Cristobal. Thank you for being here, and good luck. And
we need it, but we want it. So, as I said, pressure is a privilege, and I think a lot of amazing things are happening. And having many of you coming here and say, yeah, guys, this is really special, I think it's a good testament that things are going in the right way, and now the fun starts.
Thank you so much. Vă mulțumesc și vouă și rămâneți în continuare pe startup.ro.